and then expand the square. Okay, so that you have depth of emotions, depth of spirit, depth of mind, depth of body, awareness. And so then the tesseract becomes a model for, okay, if I were going to expand it from the square to the cube and from the cube to the hypercube, what would that feel like? What would my capabilities be? That's what the idea of the tesseract is as a meme. Okay, you can expand into different emotions because I'm going to put this in real terms. Let's take anger. As Yoda says, fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to the dark side. Okay? Hate is an intensity of anger. All right? And people hold on to it. They're angry at people. They hate people. I don't know if I could ever forgive that. Okay, so forgiving is not forgetting. Okay? At a higher dimension. Forgiving is not forgetting. You don't forget. What you let go of is your attachment to the anger. Oh, you didn't destroy me. I used to be angry about that. Now I can laugh about it. It taught me that you couldn't break me. And I've let go of the anger because the anger was mostly coming into me and not doing anything to you. So I need to let go of it. What you did to me was wrong. But, if I had been taught the way you'd been taught, I would probably have done the same thing. You were taught wrong. And you didn't know it, and you didn't question it. You wronged me, so I question you. And I see now, this is what Yeshua meant by loving your enemies. No, you don't lay down and let them walk over you. You see where they're coming from. You don't have to make the same mistakes. Like I said, like I've said before, look, you don't have to believe Jesus was black. That's how I was raised. But I'm following the example of the people that believe Jesus is black, which means everybody's equal, nobody should be a slave, and you should free slaves. That's your moral obligation. I don't care if it's illegal or slavery is legal. Slavery is immoral. I don't care if addiction is profitable. I'm going to free people from addiction. Period. That's what Jesus would do. They might kill me for that. Okay? Then I'm free of them. Bye. I'm going surfing on the heavenly Maui. Anyway. So, 4 dimensions of different emotions and different experiences. So this is a 10-dimensional tesseract. Remember I said there's each one on every side of the square? Yeah, that's kind of what that looks like. I think this is actually a 70. I'm about to show you others. So, when I first heard this, it was in 1983, I read it in Scientific American. And it was an article entitled The 11 Dimensions of Space-Time, or The Hidden Dimensions of Space-Time. I go, 11 dimensions? What? So I asked a theoretical physicist friend, Saul Paul Sarag, he actually lives here. But he lived in San Francisco at the time. Says, Saul Paul, what's up with the 11 dimensions? And he goes, that's Scientific American. There's actually 48. But people can't really conceive of the 48. So this is Scientific American, we'll do 11. So 11, when if you've heard about string theory in quantum physics, you need 11 dimensions to make string theory work. Okay? So when I started applying this metaphor to treatment, to human development, 11 dimensions, I'm just telling you, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not, Your cell phones are quantum devices that were designed using those principles. So it's quite irrelevant whether you believe it or not. This is a quantum device. Okay? The basic principles were discovered 150 years ago. But we had to go through wired telephones to get to a wireless telephone. Even though the principles of quantum physics work with wired telephones and wireless telephones. Okay? Quantum signal that basically passes through concrete, and you basically just need a cell tower within line of sight 40 miles for it to work. Instantly transmit things at the speed of light, at least the speed of light. So, 11 dimensions. Humans are multidimensional beings. That's not what the article says. I'm just saying that that's a reality, right? Humans are multidimensional beings, and for example, string theory and quantum physics holds that there are 11 dimensions. So, first of all, 1 through 3. So the first dimension, right, of course, is length. Second dimension, you square the line, get a square, so you get length. Actually, this is width, or could be length. Length and width, 2 dimensions. Third dimension is what? Length, width, depth, or height, depending. Could be depth. Sorry, I'm not a math major, I'm a psych major, so, or an art major. Anyway. The fourth dimension is space-time. The fifth dimension is electromagnetism. So space-time, basically, when we talk about miles per hour, it doesn't matter, you can't talk about moving in space without moving in time. Okay, so that's why space-time. Now, there's lots of ways of experiencing space-time. And lots of different ways of conceiving of space-time. So, as an example, in the European-American axiology, which we haven't talked about in this class, but the idea is that one of the view of time is that it moves in a line. From the past into the future, and we're in this moment now. That moves in a linear fashion. Okay? There is the concept that the Hindus and Asians believe that all eternity is in a single moment. That moment is now. And all there is now. Past and future are an illusion. There's also the view of time that the Aboriginal folks have, that there is the dream time, which means there is no time at all. All moments exist simultaneously. And you just have to sing the right song to get to a particular moment. They all exist simultaneously. This is also one view of quantum physics, too. That time is an illusion, however we conceive of it. Without getting into that. So, space-time, fourth dimension. Fifth dimension is electromagnetism. You cannot have electricity without generating a magnetic field. You can use magnetism to generate electricity. So, electromagnetism being the fifth dimension, what we perceive as electricity and magnetism are basically the same thing unfolding in this dimension. Sixth, strong nuclear force, the force that holds atoms together. Seventh, the weak nuclear force. When you split an atom, radiation. Eighth, 8 through 11 is subatomic quantum forces, which I don't know, and I don't have the math to describe, so I'm just saying that's what they are. I mean, that's what Saul Paul told me. Okay. You're the one that's doing the math. You're the one that's working at the Stanford Linear Accelerator. And, we thought of a particle last week, and then next week we found it in the accelerator. Like, what was, it's a type of quark. Okay. TMI. All right, the point being, you can only perceive and manipulate dimensions you are outside of, meaning we are all outside of all of them, if we can manipulate them. Remember, these are quantum devices, and they are operating using those 8 to 11 dimensions to power them. You don't need to know the math, but that's what's being done. So, the world outside of your box, if you can find your box in there, is multispectral. That is, got X-rays and gamma rays and cosmic rays and visible light and sound and other things and life energy, multispectral, multidimensional. So to see in black and white or red or blue or be colorblind is not to see. You basically have to see all of it. Now, the scary part of this is that people often will, when confronted with the dimensional, the emotions, if you add emotions into this, so that's actually what I'm also talking about too. When we're talking about multispectral, emotions can have colors. We actually talk about being green with envy, yellow with cowardice, red with anger. Okay, multi-blue, there are different kinds of the blue. Do you blue sky? You see with rose-colored glasses. I mean, we're already talking about multispectral, right? So if we're saying that drugs are feelings and drugs induce certain emotional colors, we could be blind to anything that's outside of that particular drug if we use that or that particular process, too. So be able to see, expand our vision to see all of it. So basically just another tesseract. So these are various types of tesseracts. So starting with a 2-cube, 3-dimensional cube, 4-dimensional cube is the first tesseract, 5-dimensional cube, 6-dimensional cube, 7-dimensional cube, 8, 9, 10.
That reminds me of that toy that they used to have when I was a kid, with the spinny thing.
Right. Not the Etch-a-Sketch, the...
yeah, it's like a spirograph.
Right, spirograph, that's it. Right, right. Yes. Well, here's how I'm using it. So that's dimensions of space, time, and energy. Yeah, there's no point in basically showing you an 11 cube, but at least we can get up to 10. So length and width and depth, length, width, depth, space-time, length, width, depth, space-time, electromagnetism, and going beyond that, the strong nuclear force, that's what S and F is, adding the weak nuclear force, and so on. So the human being is beyond and encompassing all those dimensions. Like it or not. Where am I going with this, you may wonder. Think, feel. 2 dimensions. Think, feel, do. It's like motivation for behavior. Okay? Addictions are goal-oriented. We take apart what you're thinking and you're feeling, and then what you do to change how you're thinking or feeling. Right, I'm thinking basically having you look at going beyond addictive behavior. So think, feel, do, reflect, project. That is a angel brain function. Okay, where you think about what's happening now and you project it into the future, and you reflect upon what are your options, just as if you were looking at parallel universes in space-time. I didn't introduce that concept, but basically comes out of quantum physics. The very basic level of reality, there's a split that occurs. At every decision point, at every moment, there's a split and a possible universe arising out of that. That's a different frequency than what we're used to. Sometimes you can experience those in dreams. And so when dreams actually happen, right? Déjà vu is the French word for it. Already have seen. Sometimes you have dreams that seem to have some correspondence in reality. I've seen this before. Why have I seen this before? Now, Western psychology doesn't believe that that exists. I'm a transpersonalist. Beyond exists. So if people have it, experience it enough for it to be a word, then it must be happening on some level. So, beyond angel brain. Think, feel, do, reflect, project, proact, act, react. Proact means preparing for something to happen so that it doesn't happen. And then acting to make sure it doesn't happen. And then reacting to a new situation so that it doesn't happen. Right? But that's a function of the previous dimension, so the fifth dimension, being able to be proactive and act in a preventative way. So proact, act, react, that's PAR. Respond, resound. So instead of react, you choose your response. You don't just react. You choose your response by responding. And resound means that you are at least using sound to resonate, to change reality. Now, I'm just deliberately using this language, resound. You can't see sound energy. So if you're going to resound with something, you have to be producing sound or producing a vibration that actually changes reality to the way that you want to be. Sometimes you can do that with your presence, how you're vibrating. And you might not be making a sound, but your very presence changes the vibrational field. We've talked about fields, right, already. So, R squared, after R squared, that's respond, resound, being the change. Okay? When Gandhi talked about be the change that you want to see in the world, be that already. So the world begins to change just because you are being that. And essentially, when you can be the change here at the 8th dimension, you can train game changers. So I'm basically talking to you about a capacity that already exists potentially in all of us as humans. But we usually tend to only allow people like the Jesuses and the Buddhas and the Gandhis and the MLKs or whoever your particular hero or heroine is to be that, not thinking that we can do that. Well, no, they're demonstrating a human capability already. There's nothing separating you that you couldn't do that yourself. Just calling it out of you is all. You have that capability already. And that's part of what's being a human being. So taking that, who is a name for spirit or God or whatever. Man is not the male gender. It means, in that same language like Sanskrit or ancient word before Sanskrit, human being. So basically spirit, mind, being. Infinite mind, being. That's what it means to be human, to basically move beyond our limits to something else. So if we look at different levels, what it means to be an adult. So a practitioner, practicing self-mastery. An actualized adept, a master teacher of self-mastery to others. Okay, and Dimension 7 and beyond, the game changers, many names known and unknown.